Okay.
Let me tweet it out.
All right. I think it's good.
I think we're live, yeah.
Yeah. We have a little live.
Yes. I was checking your channel. Yeah, we're live.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, hey. Welcome.
Hello.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well.
Okay.
Right, so, Lovely War.
Yes.
So good.
So good. It was beautiful.
Amazing. Spectacular. Never been done before.
Heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time.
Definitely.
You know what? Because when I read this, I only got heartwarming, and then when it started coming out and I saw more reviews, everybody is like, I cried like 50 times, and I'm like, I was happy throughout this whole entire thing. I like never had an ounce of sadness, but maybe that's also because I don't really cry in books. That could be a thing too, but
might be a thing, yeah.
Where was it? The first spot that I cried.
Page 5.
I think it was page like 25, honestly. It was not all that far into the book. Oh, yeah, there it is. And so James went from stranger to patriot hero, bravely shouldering his duty to God, king, and country. And I just like tears streaming down my face.
Yeah. I cried during a lot of the Hades scenes.
Mm-hmm.
They made me sad.
Yeah.
Bringing everybody home. So what was everyone's what was everybody's favorite aspect of the book? If we want to, I can start, I guess. Everything.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Hazel and James's first date, I want to call it, if you can even call it that, when they first met up for tea.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cute. So soft.
Mm-hmm.
What I loved a lot about it was when Aphrodite was telling the story, that she had a lot of like commentary in between to her fellow gods.
Mm-hmm.
That was so funny.
That's one of my favorite tropes, when the narrator talks to the reader. I really love that. Well, my favorite part was just every single time the gods talked. Like, their interactions with each other was so funny. And one of my favorite things about reading about gods is hearing how they view humans, because I just think that's so fascinating. And this book is just filled with that.
Mm-hmm.
And just Aphrodite is written. Like, did she just embody Barry while she was writing? Because it was I don't even think I could write Aphrodite even close to as good as Julie Berry wrote Aphrodite. And
I feel like I developed a much deeper appreciation and understanding for Aphrodite through reading this book. I don't know. I feel like in the past I've always viewed her kind of the way she's painted by the Percy Jackson series.
Yeah.
Which is a slightly more vapid creature.
Yeah.
And ooh, I'm gonna mark down what she said. I tabbed it and everything. Yeah, you may say that it was wicked of me to allow James to find Hazel and Hazel James if 3 days were all they would have. I don't call it cruelty. I do not apologize. And that one snippet, I was just like, oh my God. I get it. I get it now.
Yeah, I really liked that. She was so well spoken and snarky, and she was so excited about these people, and that made me really excited about them.
Like the passion. The passion, she loved it so much. And I just loved you could just feel the passion when she was speaking about Hazel and James. And so, it was just so good.
At the beginning of their first date, when Aphrodite's talking and she says, "As I say, I wasn't interfering, but the whole scene, the street corner, the lamppost, the shadows, the gentle opera spilling down from above, what was I to do? I'm an artist."
I also love that the two couples in this book, like, there is nothing particularly special about any of them. I mean, Aubrey's pretty special with that whole jazz thing.
Right.
But in terms of love and relationships in relation to World War I, nothing particularly special about either one of these couples, but she just, like, she's an artist.
Yeah. Like, this book could have been told with anybody, like any two people or any four people, like any characters could have been told in this book, and it would have been just as brilliant, no matter who the characters were.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Although the characters' backstories and who they were did also very much play into the story. Like, if Colette didn't have what was the boy's name, Sebastian, before?
Right.
Was this Stefan or Sebastian? I don't remember. But if that didn't happen to her, she wouldn't have then gone to France. So, I mean, yeah, there could be another random YMCA volunteer girl, but I feel like these characters were the ones that should be in this story.
I think I agree with that. I think Colette and Aubrey, we got a lot more backstory than we did with James and Hazel.
Yeah.
We got a lot more of why they're here, how they got here, what their life looked like outside of each other. And I would have liked to have seen more of them. That's going to lead me into my next question. What was everyone's least favorite aspect of the book? I wanted more Colette and Aubrey.
I think I'm on the same page with that, because, like, to be quite honest, it's really hard to find something that was my least favorite aspect. But it is quite apparent when you're reading it that it's definitely more focused on Hazel and James, which I loved. Like, I loved them, and things don't really pick up for Aubrey and Colette till like halfway through. And it would have been nice just to get a little bit more of just them two, like, together on screen, you know, because they're so fun together and they're so passionate and everything. But
yeah, I agree, because in the end you get this like montage of their life, and it would have been fun to read more of that and not just snapshots.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate World War historical fiction. Like,
I love it.
That was one of the reasons that I wasn't even going to read this book, because I really hate them, and I don't, like, for various systematic reasons. It's just, I think they're whatever. We're not going to get into it. But so I'm not going to lie. If this was like set during, like, I don't know, like the 100 Years War or like the French Revolution or like any other war setting, I mean, I would very much enjoy that. But that being said, I didn't hate this book because it was World War historical fiction. Like, in fact, it didn't bother me, like, at all. Like, I did still enjoy it.
It was like the anomaly.
It's just, you know,
war historical fiction.
If you wanted to spice it up a little and like give it more of a unique setting that we don't have thousands of other books written about, would have been nice. But at least she included like the Black perspective in it. So
yes.
At least she still incorporated some diversity. But yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my least favorite part. I don't know.
I also really appreciate how clear it is that she did all of her research.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's very apparent throughout the novel, and then also at the end when she's got her notes at the end and her bibliography.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you got extensive. I love it.
This is like kind of random, but have any of you guys seen 1917?
Yes.
Okay.
Last Friday.
Yeah. So I was reading this because I read this like a little over a month ago. So I was reading this when I went to go see that. And just watching how intense that was, like World War I in 1917, and like reading this at the same time, like when I went home that night and started reading it, it was just a whole new picture of like how dark things had to have been for James, like, and how scary they had to have been, and like what he had to overcome. And it was just like, it made it so much deeper, I think. I don't know why. I mean, it would have been great without it, but
agree with that. Yeah, definitely agree.
It's crazy.
I also think James's PTSD was, I think it was well portrayed, but I don't think it was accurately portrayed for the time period. I mean, that everybody was calling it shell shock, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. The term shell shock implies something physical that is not what PTSD is, and it wasn't as understood as I feel like it was portrayed to be in the book, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean. I think that he might have had like a more physical reaction to it. If that would be in the book, it would have been more convincing, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Not that it wasn't convincing, because, I mean, I know PTSD manifests differently for everybody, but it was honestly less about him and more about everybody else in relation to it. I felt like everybody else just seemed to have an innate understanding that didn't exist at the time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I think I can agree with you.
All right, yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to talk. Because the question is, why is shell shock physical? It's not that it's physical. It's that the word itself, for me, and I don't know if this applies to anybody else, the word itself implies the idea that something physical happened in your brain. Like, I don't know. When I hear the term shell shock, I think a bomb went off and your brain got rattled around. And that's why you are the way that you are. And that's not what PTSD is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the term shell shock was, I think, adequate for the time. And now, obviously, we have a much deeper understanding of what it was and what PTSD is. But at the time, I didn't have that understanding. And again, yeah, the understanding was portrayed where it didn't exist. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't know enough about PTSD to really comment on the portrayal of it, but valid.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about how the fact that Hades disguised himself as a Catholic priest? Because that's my favorite part of the book. I literally laughed out loud. I could not believe that this polytheistic god dressed up as a Catholic priest. That was amazing for me. That was everything for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he says, Ares asked, but why a Catholic priest? And Hephaestus is like, doesn't this create for you some theological difficulties? And Hades is like, I don't think so. I enjoy being a rabbi just as well, possibly more. I honor the mortals' worldview, and I speak from within their frame of reference. We love that, honestly. And I'm sure he dresses up as a Buddhist monk as well. So
I think Hades, within the entire Greek pantheon, I think Hades is probably the most respectful of mortals.
Oh, yeah.
For things like that.
Yeah. For sure.
I guess because he deals with them the most.
The underworld to like suit the needs of whoever shows up there. Like, you may have been wrong, but I'll make it a little comfortable for you.
You know what? You're dead now. You might as well be comfy.
Exactly.
Yes.
I also really loved the portrayal of Apollo.
Oh, yeah.
He's just so fun.
He is so fun. And like that's another thing is like music is such an important thing for all of the couples in here, and that's another thing that kind of ties them all together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So sweet.
I love his relationship to Aphrodite throughout the bits where they're talking to each other and he's being her witness and telling him parts of the story. I love the relationship of the music to love.
Mm-hmm. So good. This book is so good. There's so many layers. There's so many.
One thing that really stood out to me was that James was always narrated by Ares, and Aubrey always by Apollo, and then the two girls by Aphrodite.
Mm-hmm.
And their voices were so distinct that I never doubted who I was reading from.
Yeah.
And I think that was very important as well. I also really liked, because I went through this whole book thinking about the relationship between love and war and how they tend to come together.
What a power couple.
Right?
Aphrodite.
But I read through the entire book thinking of along those lines and that theme in particular, and I got to the very end and her conversation with Hephaestus at the end, and I was like, oh my god, there's an entire message.
Yes, and that is, what was the question? What did I get out of the book? That is what I got out of the book, because I have never given any credit to Hephaestus and Aphrodite in their relationship. I just was like, because I was all about Ares and Aphrodite, war and love. It's like, again, a power couple. So I was always like, whatever. Like, nobody cares about Hephaestus and Aphrodite because it's just whatever. But this book gave me such a like different perspective, because I was like, why wouldn't the goddess of love her husband? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I understand that like it was a forced marriage and like she wasn't on board at the very beginning, but this has been like thousands and thousands of years, and just her describing the fact that he was distant to her. Oh my god. I loved it so much. That was incredible.
The perspective and the taste.
Oh, it was so good. And now I ship them. Now I'm like, I love them. Soft boy
belong together
with amazing woman. I just
But it's also like, that's another difference. I know Hera is not featured at all in this book, but major difference between Aphrodite and Hera. Aphrodite is love, Hera is marriage, and the two are not mutually exclusive.
Oh, absolutely. And she talks about that. She's like, why are you expecting me to be what do you call it? Not consensual. Exclusive.
Monogamous.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, I am love. Everybody needs some.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
marriage is for that one.
Yeah.
Love is for everyone.
Yeah.
But just hearing her at the end talk about how like Hephaestus was the one who was distant from the beginning, and Hephaestus was the only one that didn't go out seeking her.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, love only comes when you're not looking for it. Like,
Mind blown.
like the number one piece of, I don't know, relationship advice that you get when you're single. It's like, oh, stop looking for love.
Yeah.
Expect it. I'm reading that. I'm like, oh.
That's crazy.
The only God, the deformed one, the only one who would never have expected to be loved, especially by the goddess of love herself.
So cute.
Honestly, who cares about Hades and Persephone? I truly don't honestly though, little tangent, why is Hades and Persephone such a thing? Like, I get it, it's like the dark boy, soft girl, whatever. We love that. But like, I mean, there are so many.
I think it depends on the
other gods that are like Dionysus and Ariadne. What the only consensual relationship in mythology?
I love them.
And Hephaestus and Aphrodite, like you just said, the deformed one and the goddess of love and beauty. Yes. Anyways,
I do love Dionysus. So I think they're perfect.
Yeah, they're great. Maybe it's because I've just been like tarnished by all the people that want retellings, and I'm just like, they don't exist. None of them are good. Unless they're just out there unwritten, none of them are good. I have no recommendation for you. I have read all of them. They're trash.
That's sad. All right, so yeah, okay. So the questions I sent earlier, because the whole conception of this book club was tea and books, basically, or like cozy beverages and books. So that's why I sent that question. Tea is an antioxidant and known to have anti-aging properties. Did any aspect of this book make you feel young? And I feel like all of it.
Because it plays out in history, or?
No,
Absolutely.
Honestly, I think Hazel and James's relationship in particular is just so fresh and new and like puppy love, budding romance.
Yes.
And that, I think, definitely made me feel young. I was getting butterflies.
Oh yeah,
for the two of them.
Definitely.
I'm usually not into like a super soft romance, but like I was so obsessed, and it was so like youthful, and I don't really like, they were naive, but I don't really feel like they were naive. It was also just like the circumstance of their relationship, but it made me feel like young and in love, and just like young, and I don't know, I loved it.
When James said that, what did he say? He said, "You're a brand new piece of sheet music for a song which once played, I'd swear I'd always know." Excuse me?
Oh.
And
yeah.
What else have I tabbed? I have a lot of pink and blue tabs. And in my system, pink is either romance moments or stuff that I loved, and blue is stuff that made me cry. So
yeah, same.
That's where we're at with this book.
And orange.
I have no tabs because I have no tabs.
Oh.
Well, I should did though, but I back in the Netherlands, I bought tabs and then I just forget to tab any book.
That's fair. I love tabbing. Like, oh my God. I love when a book is like this.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
Like I did for this video. I was like, let me just go.
Go find all the best
on the
moments. All the best moments that I can reference. Here.
When Aphrodite said destruction has nothing to do with me, and everybody laughed at her. That was fantastic. I really appreciated that.
This one tab that doesn't have anything to do with that, but I need to share it. With the Great War in its 4th year, Britain's needed cake. Honestly, same. Ah. All right. Can we talk a bit more about Colette and Aubrey?
Yes.
Because even though I felt like I didn't get as much of them as I wanted, there is still so much there that we can talk about.
They reminded me a lot of, like, obviously, like, maybe it's just because it's, you know, the white girl, black man pairing, but Theta and Memphis from the Diviners. Because Colette and Theta both have, like, tragic backstory with, like, past lovers. And Memphis is, like, a poet. And Audrey is, like, a, you know, musician. So it was, like, I got the parallels.
Yeah.
I haven't read the Diviners yet.
I got like halfway through the Diviners and then stopped. Should I continue on with that?
I mean, the first book's one of my favorite books, but
Yeah,
I did not like the second book nearly as much, so I haven't continued on after that.
I've seen a lot of mixed reviews.
I think it's good.
It's fun.
So I didn't like the second book either, but then I read the third book and I was like, whoa, the second book was way better. And so I like,
really?
Yeah. Like, well, the third book, like the ending is fantastic.
Okay.
And like, I'm not unpopular opinion. Most people love the third book. I just was like, it's too long. And so I was bored.
Yeah.
But
I felt like the second book was.
Yeah. But like, I feel like after reading the second book and not enjoying it, but looking back on it, I feel like I appreciate it more.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun series and the audiobooks are great. So I would say give it a shot. If you don't
I think I picked it up at the wrong time, honestly, because I just had such an extensive list of things that I really wanted to read. Right. This happens every time I do a live show. Somebody
want your attention.
St. Louis, Missouri. I'm not answering that phone. I don't live anywhere near St. Louis, Missouri.
Me neither.
Same.
Because I'm in the UK. Okay, but back to Aubrey and Colette for a bit. I really loved them, and I loved how incredibly supportive Colette was of both everyone actually. I really liked how she made it happen for Hazel and James to meet in Paris. It was her idea, like, go meet. You should do this. And I loved how she had no judgment for anyone and that she was so open for anything. I really enjoyed that about her.
I do think Colette, more than Hazel, was like a human mortal embodiment of Aphrodite. And I know there are two separate characters in this book, but I felt more Aphrodite vibes from Colette. And I don't know if it's because she was so heavily impacted by the war so early on, or if it's just who she was, but just like the amount of love that she has for everyone in her life. And again, the theme of love and war going hand in hand, she feels like if she lets herself love somebody, they're going to get taken away from her, but she can't help it.
Yeah.
I kind of think of it because I really like the parallels between Hazel and James and Colette and Aubrey. Like, it's because Hazel and James is more of like a passionate new kind of love, but Colette and their relationship is much deeper. And like I think both are like soulmates, obviously, because that's the whole point of the book. But it's just more of like
it's more mature.
Yes.
And
yes.
like I get what you're saying.
Love versus like third, second love.
Like share your whole life story with that person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's so true. I didn't think about that before.
Yeah. It's a great observation.
Yeah, I see that Ilya asks, who would you recommend this book to? And like, how would you pitch it? Like,
that's a good question.
Yeah. So I guess
go ahead.
First, I would recommend it to people who like historical fiction, who like books about the World Wars.
Yeah.
But then again, I would recommend it to people who love stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes on a whole new tone too with like the Greek gods narrating it. Like it doesn't feel like I definitely wouldn't have picked it up if it was just the World War I aspect, because like I could watch a World War I movie and really like it, but I've never been drawn to reading a book about World War I. But having the aspect of the Greek gods telling, like Aphrodite telling the story, it just adds a whole new tone. It doesn't feel like you're reading some historical fiction novel. I don't know, it's hard to describe. But that's what sold me on it, was the fact that it was like this whole different take, and it was narrated by the gods. Like it was, I don't know.
For me, sorry. Go ahead. Oh yeah, for me it was the other way around. I saw the title and I saw Lovely War, and I saw like an old coat, and I was like, yes, this is a book for me. And then later I found out that it was narrated by the gods, and then I thought, okay, I don't know about this, could be interesting. So for me it was the other way around, because I love books about the war. Wars.
I went into it thinking it was going to be Aphrodite. Like I knew it was narrated by the gods. I thought it was going to be Aphrodite telling two separate love stories. I didn't realize that Hazel and James and Colette and Aubrey were going to be intertwined. So
I didn't either.
we were. And I also didn't realize that we were going to keep getting those interjections from the gods.
Yeah, but that made it really good, though.
I think I liked it a lot more because of that than I would have if it was just a straightforward, like, Aphrodite's telling a story.
True.
So, like, we talked a little bit before the live, but I honestly would recommend this book to everybody because you appeal to the historical fiction audience, you appeal to the romance audience, you appeal to the mythology fantasy audience, you appeal to people that love and hate insta-love, because it's insta-love, but you get that needed development throughout like the wartime, and they're talking in these letters, and they get that brief meetings and all of those things. So you get that, you get the characters, you get a plot, because it's the war, so like there's stuff going on all the time. It's funny. It's way more funny than you would think it would be. It's not depressing. I mean, there are some like sad moments for sure, but it's not like depressing. So it's very heartwarming. It's very hopeful.
And even the sad moments are just like very hopeful moments.
Yeah, exactly. And you get the symbolism. Like there's just so much in here. I really can't imagine anybody hating this. Like I should go. I mean, I don't want to, but like I would be interested in like going on Goodreads and like reading like the 1-star, 2-star reviews, because I genuinely can't imagine anybody liking it or not liking this.
Yeah. Ooh, and is it YA or adult?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think YA.
I found it. So at my Barnes and Nobles, it wasn't in young adult section. It was in like adult fiction, and I was like so shocked when I went to buy it.
The YA.
I was like, why is this over there?
I've
But
only ever seen it in a YA section. Yeah.
Let me see.
yeah,
I think it
I
doesn't.
think it should be.
Actually, I've only ever seen it in specifically YA romance.
I think it should be YA. Like if it's like I really think it should. It
Chronicle
says Penguin Teen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure what the.
My
But like,
library has it
more.
classified as YA.
Yeah.
But it's graphic.
Thicker.
I mean, it does get dark, but not like to the point where not darker than some other YA. So
Yeah, I guess
but
it's
I wouldn't- yeah, I
might
don't
be YA in the States because here it's published by another company. It's still Penguin, but
That makes
by
sense.
Viking, an imprint of Penguin Random House. So
Oh, I'm Viking.
Yeah, that's what mine
Oh,
says. too.
actually, yeah, this one says Viking.
I would say I would probably categorize it as adult.
Do you
I
think?
think so too, or like new adult.
Because I don't see, like, I wouldn't pick this up as a 16-year-old.
No, and
Like,
the
I'm
characters
not-
are
I wouldn't-
older than that.
I'm not saying the
Yeah.
16-year-old can't read it, but, like, I wouldn't I wouldn't be 16 years old looking at the YA shelves and be like, ooh, a World War I historical
Ooh,
fiction.
lovely boy.
Honestly, I
And I mean, there isn't a lot of explicit content in here, and with a lot of, I mean like nothing. Neither in the sex department, but also not about the war. There's nothing that is really jarring. So I guess it could definitely be read by younger audiences. But because the characters in the book are all adults, I think it might be an adult book.
It's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. This is like one of those cases where it's like,
it hits both.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
kind of
guess.
perfectly
I think
too.
so, yeah.
But the language also is very like digestible as well, which is another characteristic of YA too. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not hard to comprehend or understand or follow.
I
Yeah,
think
so I guess it kind of falls in the middle.
Yeah.
probably classify it as new adult.
yes, love that. I'm gonna start calling it that.
There
I
you go.
All books that are new adult. I don't care what the publishers say. Like
Yeah.
Emergency Contact, new adult. Fangirl.
Oh my gosh. It
New
is
adult.
new adult. I
Like,
just read
all-
Emergency Contact last month.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is this a YA book?
So I'm gonna take the opportunity to be like, nope, this is new adult. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
This
Read
is new adult.
I love that.
Because it's also, I mean, the themes that you find in new adult books are all about like you kind of know who you are.
Yeah.
When you reach that age of new adulthood, you kind of know who you are, but you're learning how that fits into your world.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's what this book is.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
Characters.
We
Oh
love
my
that.
gosh. I didn't think about that. Makes so much sense now.
Because I feel like young adult is a lot about learning who you are.
Yep.
And, like,
Finding yourself.
stories and things like that. And
Yeah.
adult books, I don't read a whole lot of adult fiction, but what I have read has been mostly like
It's like outside external forces.
it's a lot of external forces, and new adult is like a perfect harmony of the two, and that's what I felt about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It also, I don't know, I feel like based on the cover though, I definitely would have picked it up at 16.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just, it's so pink.
It's so beautiful. It is so
So pretty.
and the
But I pick up
sign-
pink books whenever I see them because it's my favorite color.
The naked cover is like this maroon.
It's gorgeous. The
Beautiful.
hardback. So pretty.
I immediately put it on my Amazon wish list.
And the paperback is like the floppiest book ever.
Oh,
There you go.
love
Lovely.
And like I said like I wouldn't pick that up at 16, but like I never read like historical fiction when I was 16. I was like fantasy all the way. And like obviously there are other kids that like read contemporary and historical fiction. Like that could never be me. I only started reading contemporary last year, and I was like, still not as good as fantasy, but
that's why it's associated with sexy times. Yeah.
So yeah, are there any other books that you would think of to like if you like this one? What you would recommend?
First of all, where is it? Hold on. Aphrodite made me do it because this is another case. It has nothing to do with the story, but like it also examines love and Aphrodite, and this is another one where I was like, Aphrodite possessed Tristan Meteor and wrote it herself. This was just another one if you really want to do like a dissection into Aphrodite as a character. Definitely. Oh, and it's a really great book for queer readers as well, coming to terms with your queerness and your queer identity and all those things. So that's one. Somebody else go. Well, I think.
I guess if you like historical fiction and love stories, I would, I think, recommend The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. That is all about the
when it's in Spain.
Yeah, it's in Spain, and I believe it plays out in the 50s, I think. And you get flashbacks from earlier, and it's different stories woven into each other, and it's really beautifully written. And I really enjoyed that one last year. So I say if you go for historical fiction and a beautiful love story, then go for that one.
I feel like did I see the cover that you were just about to pull out?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so I feel bad kind of for recommending it, but like I think it's gonna be a good one. So I don't feel bad.
Which one?
What was it?
Elizabeth.
Oh yeah.
City of Girls.
Okay, have you read it?
I have. I read it over the summer.
Because like it is historical fiction, and it's like Evelyn Hugo, because it's like a dancer or a theater girl telling her story when she's like 80 years old or whatever. And I've heard that it discusses like sexuality a lot, which isn't really what this book is about, but it's got the historical fiction vibes. It's got the feminism aspect of it.
Definitely got the historical fiction vibes. It doesn't discuss sexuality per se.
Okay.
It's like
on the TBR. Gone.
It doesn't, yeah, and it's also like I feel like with a book that fat, you expect there to be some kind of romance, and there's not. It's more about a romance between a person and her world.
I love that. Independence.
Yes. And so I don't know. I think based on the historical fiction aspect and the fact that that one takes place during World War II and this is World War I.
Basically, you're saying no. You're wrong, and you shouldn't recommend books.
You could. Listen,
slap on the wrist.
About it, I'm having one of those moments where I've forgotten every book I've ever read.
That's how I am right now.
I mean, I recommended The Diviners. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Like it's too high, but you get historical aspect, you get romance, you get paranormal vibes, which is not it. They're fun. And you get a lot of social commentary, which is in this book.
Yeah.
A good one. And this is the biggest long shot, so bear with me. Strange a Dreamer.
I'm reading that right now.
The writing is very beautiful, and it's definitely a lot different than this writing, but you get like very beautiful quote-worthy things. And the biggest thing about this book is how it deals with generational trauma, PTSD, war. So if you want themes of war in a fantasy setting, there you go. So
It is a really beautiful book, though, but I would have never thought to recommend that based on this one.
yeah, it's definitely like a complete like long shot, but the core themes of both of the books are in each other. Oh, and how love conquers war and feelings of war. So it's the core themes are in both books, but
Yeah, I agree
There
with
you
that.
go.
I wasn't gonna recommend that, but I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
Because I think you're completely correct. I just like, I don't know, again, every book I've ever read has left my head at the moment. But I'm looking at this like, ooh, what's another historical fiction with a soft romance? And honestly, like, I don't know that I've ever read anything quite like this.
mm-hmm.
And I could absolutely recommend books based on different aspects of this one. So like based on war historical fiction or soft romance or just like stuff like that. But I think Strange the Dreamer, weirdly enough, is going to be the best representation of all of the themes that you find in this one.
Our minds. Crazy. Also, Song of Achilles. Just read it. God.
I do have to read that one.
Romance, war, love. Wait, did you say you haven't read it?
I have to read it.
Yeah, you need to.
I'll put it on my list. Thanks for the recommendation.
You haven't read it either?
Nope.
I am amazed when people say they don't read it because it's literally the best book of all time. Like, point blank period. It is. So, yeah, get on that.
I've heard that. I have heard that, actually.
So good. So that would be a great. They even talk about the Trojan War in here, and they draw comparisons to the Trojan War. Here you go. Song of Achilles, Madeline Miller. Read it, love it, cry. You're welcome.
Okay. I'll put it on my want to read list.
There you go.
Amazing.
As you should.
I've got this problem where I don't read a whole lot of physical books anymore because my job allows me to listen to audiobooks all day.
The audiobook is great.
Your job sounds awesome.
Well, the problem is I use Libby, and so I have to request books if they're not in. Like I have to request them and I have to wait for them. And then when they get sent into the app for whatever reason, they don't tell me. So like I realized last week I had the audiobook of Educated on my app and they didn't tell me and I didn't realize until the day before it was due back. So I listened to a 12-hour audiobook in one go.
Wow.
That's rough.
Oh, what a nice man.
Thank you.
So cute.
That was unexpected. He says hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I guess that could also be a great segue in one of your questions, Liz. Like, what beverage
That's a great
couple with
segue.
this
Yes.
book?
If you had to recommend like a tea or a cozy beverage or something to go along with this book, what would it be?
Well, for me, I've been drinking a lot of it's a British brand. It's called Bird and Blend, and they do a Red Bush rhubarb and custard tea, which is really delicious. And I've been drinking it while reading this book, so that's why I go for that.
I'm gonna have to look that up. That sounds amazing.
It's really delicious.
Ooh.
Fancy.
I would do rosé because that's a cozy beverage to me, and it matches the cover.
I love
Go
that.
on.
I was thinking about it a lot, and initially I was going to go with like an Earl Grey or British breakfast, something like that. But honestly, hot chocolate. But like gourmet, fancy, like sticks to the top of your lip when you drink it. Chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah, it also makes me really think of Paris for some way.
Yeah.
Like chocolate, I
Yes.
I associate that with Paris. So that fits really well.
Yeah. I'm really not a huge tea drinker.
Yeah.
Call that the pointing out the American in me. Like if it's not apple pie a la mode, caramel custard, biscuit supreme, like it's so ridiculous tea like that, like Earl Grey. Like if it tastes like I'm drinking flowers, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. So
How do you feel about chai?
I love chai.
I like peach tea. Love peach black tea. That's probably my favorite. But that's
I like peach iced tea.
yeah. I usually do iced tea in general.
I was in the UK several months ago, and we were staying over at a friend's place, and we got up in the morning and we were going to take the bus into London, and my friend was making tea, and I had never met this guy before. He was my friend's boyfriend's best friend. He decided to make tea for us before we left to go catch the bus. He's asking how everybody takes their tea, and I said, black, no sugar, just tea. And he looks at me and goes, oh my God, are you a psychopath?
No.
Yeah, my flatmates here are also really, they are so all about tea. They treat tea bags like it's gold.
Love that. That's so cute. British people are so cute.
Yeah, it's true.
Like what a lovely pastime to have. I really love chamomile tea with cream.
Oh,
that's as fancy as I'll get. I'll put some almond milk in my tea sometimes, but then that's when I do feel fancy. I like make my little tea and I put creamer in it. I'm like, wow, revolutionary.
I've started keeping a pack of Biscoff biscuits cookies in my desk drawer at work because I've been conditioned. I require cookies when I have tea now.
That's so funny. I love it.
I've been eating.
Like, you want a cookie?
I've just been eating cheap shortbread by the box. Like, I eat it so much because they don't do this in the Netherlands, and I'm making the most of being here in the UK. It's like shortbread, yes, all the time.
That was something that my coworkers and I, one of my coworkers and I, are trying to bring back afternoon tea and make it a thing. So we'll take our 15-minute breaks together in the afternoon and sit and have tea.
That's amazing.
But I was saying how something I miss about Ireland is that you walk into a house and you're immediately offered a cup of tea.
How cute. I have been, every single time I've been thrifting for a couple months now, I have been trying to find a teacup, a saucer teacup scenario. I need one. And then I would drink more tea. But I need it for the aesthetics more than the drink. But if I have the aesthetics, I will drink the drink. You see where it is? That's how I feel with candlesticks too. I have a freaking who has this anymore? But I needed it.
A candlestick.
Because I need a candlestick. So there you go.
All right. Well, we are just about at our 1 hour mark. Does anybody have any final remarks on the book that we've stopped talking about?
I think I loved that sometimes it can feel cheesy, and I think it depends on the way it's written, but I love that the book was so heavily focused on fighting for love and doing whatever it takes for that love. And in this world these days, I feel like it's definitely overlooked. It definitely used to be a theme that was way more common in the past, but I just love that so much about this book. The hopeless romantic in me was just smiling every time one of them was just going as far as they could for that person, or doing whatever they could to just make this love, make it work. And I loved it so much. It made me so happy.
And to piggyback off of that, I think a lot of what we see today in terms of fighting for love is fighting to have this person love you.
Mhm.
And with these couples, it was more like, I am going to stay alive so I can see this person one more time. And it was that kind of fight. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good.
So sweet. I love them.
Yes. One thing that I also absolutely loved in this book were the letters to each other.
Yeah.
And how it was described that sometimes mail just doesn't arrive. And those scenes in here I really liked because I was like, oh, this kind of hurts, but it kind of feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that Hazel and James were an insta love, but also a slow burn at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. But the insta love made sense because Aphrodite was like, you two are destined to be together.
Mhm.
Be together.
Like when Aries was like, if these little don't kiss right now, I'm gonna fight. And no, and then he was like, I'm gonna, and then after that he's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm gonna kiss her myself. And the power that I have to make the god of war fall in love with a girl just by a story. So good.
Much deeper appreciation.
Definitely.
I read this book.
So I guess basically, go and read it.
Yeah, literally go read it.
Everybody
If you haven't yet.
It's so good.
It was like my
Or
first
reread
finished
it.
book of this year. And I was like, this is a new favorite book of all time. So start off the year really strong.
Yes.
Absolutely. We love
Yeah, that's good. We love some favorite books.
Also, I have a book playlist if you guys want to listen to it. It's like
my God.
songs. I'll put it in the chat.
Yes.
Sweet.
I actually was looking for a Spotify playlist based on this. So
I think it's a pretty good one, but that's
if you have one, please.
Send it, baby.
very well.
And if anybody who's watching this wants that, once Heather sends it to me, I can put it in the description.
Here, I put it in the chat right here. There you go.
Amazing. All right.
Cool.
Thanks you guys so much for joining me.
Yes.
For reading this book for
Thank
me.
you for having us.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Immensely.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye bye.
Bye.